Hello and welcome back, my incredible AP Insight family. Abby Phillip here. The evidence is mounting, and it's impossible to ignore any longer. When it comes to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, Donald Trump has repeatedly tried to shift focus onto the Clintons, painting them as the real culprits in the public eye. But that strategy appears to have backfired spectacularly. Just look at what Hillary Clinton stated publicly in recent days. She directly called out what she described as an ongoing effort by the current administration to obscure the truth about those files. A bipartisan measure cleared Congress with overwhelming support and became law roughly 2 months ago, demanding the full disclosure of every relevant document held by federal authorities concerning Epstein's crimes. Yet here we are, staring at a situation where millions of pages remain withheld. Official announcements from the Department of Justice indicate no further releases are planned, despite the clear legislative mandate. This isn't speculation, it's a documented failure to comply with a statute that Trump himself signed. Remember how Attorney General Pam Bondi once claimed those materials were sitting right on her desk, primed for public viewing? That promise evaporated without explanation. We've seen reports of intense behind-the-scenes maneuvering, Trump personally intervening to pull Lauren Boebert into secure sessions aimed at convincing her to drop support for forcing the issue forward. Efforts reportedly targeted Thomas Massie with primary challenges simply because he helped author the very bill that compelled transparency. Even among the portions that did surface, a glaring pattern emerges. Victim identities, names, contact details, personal data were exposed in ways that violated explicit instructions to protect them. Meanwhile, potential accomplices and enablers saw their details shielded through heavy redactions. Is this mere oversight or something far more deliberate? This isn't fringe commentary from one side of the aisle. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene, once one of Trump's staunchest defenders and someone whose public identity was deeply tied to loyalty toward him, has spoken out bluntly about what she witnessed. In recent accounts, she described sustained pressure from the White House and leadership figures, urging her and a handful of colleagues to abandon their push via a discharge petition. Why resist something framed as the ultimate blow against elite corruption and hidden networks? Greene recounted direct confrontations, including a heated phone exchange where Trump expressed fury over her stance. She pushed back, noting that victims and their representatives had cleared him of wrongdoing and even credited him with aiding their cause by flagging Epstein years earlier. Yet the response she received was stark. Releasing everything would harm his associates. "My friends will get hurt," he allegedly told her. Those words hang heavy. If the goal was genuine openness, why the resistance? Why the warnings about fallout for powerful connections? Let's be crystal clear on one point. Should evidence emerge showing any wrongdoing by the Clintons or anyone else linked to Epstein, full accountability must follow. No exceptions. Blind allegiance to any figure or party has no place here. This isn't about tribal loyalty. It's about stripping away protections for the untouchable. Compelling testimony under oath from former presidents, their families, or associates with documented ties would establish a vital standard. No one stands above scrutiny, regardless of past office or political brand. What stands out most starkly is the irony. Trump aimed to redirect scrutiny toward longtime targets on the right, the Clintons, only for them to seize the moment and spotlight what they portray as deliberate obstruction by his own team. In hindsight, redirecting attention to figures now aggressively demanding answers may not have been the shrewdest move. You're tuned into an independent examination of these developments. No spin, just the facts driving the urgency. This broadcast continues with conversations featuring key voices from Capitol Hill. First, a word from our sponsor, Shopify. Launching any venture carries real risk. The doubt, the long hours, wondering if it'll connect. I felt that launching this platform. Would anyone tune in? Could it deliver value? Looking back, trusting the process paid off, but having solid support makes the difference. Shopify powers countless operations globally, handling everything from custom storefronts with ready templates to AI-assisted product optimization and marketing tools that reach audiences wherever they engage. Whether scaling inventory, managing global logistics, or running targeted campaigns, It's built for growth. Turn uncertainty into action. Start your trial at $1 per month via Shopify.com BTC. Visit Shopify.com/BTC today. Another partner worth noting, Zbiotics. Recovery after drinks isn't what it used to be. You face a trade-off. Enjoy the evening or function well tomorrow. Zbiotics changes that equation. This genetically engineered probiotic targets the gut byproduct of alcohol responsible for those rough mornings, not just dehydration. Take it as your first drink, drink mindfully, and wake up sharper. I was skeptical until trying it at a gathering. It's effective. Even heavy social drinkers in my circle swear by it for staying consistent. Grab yours with 15% off your first order using code BTC at Ziotics.com and BTC. Subscriptions ensure you're covered, and it's risk-free with a full guarantee. Head to Ziotics.com BTC and apply BTC at checkout. Now, joining us is Congressman Jamie Raskin. Thanks for being here again. The recent oversight session with Attorney General Bondi produced one clip that exploded online. The moment she pivoted hard when pressed on Epstein matters. She highlighted prior releases under different leadership, then veered into celebrating stock market highs, as if economic gains somehow barred questions about accountability. You were in the room. What was the atmosphere like during that deflection? I had cautioned at the outset that we wouldn't permit topic shifting, time wasting, or personal attacks to derail our limited questioning window. We had hours of material on corruption, legal overreach, and department priorities. Yet substantive responses were scarce. Evasions dominated, even from some on her own side, like Representative Massey. When survivors' privacy breaches came up, the unauthorized disclosure of their details, despite redaction mandates, she shifted to unrelated economic boasting. The Attorney General isn't the economic czar, credit claiming when markets rise while disavowing responsibility during downturns rings hollow. Bondi arrived prepared with pointed remarks aimed at members, including labeling me a washed-up loser lawyer. I'm a former law professor with mutual funds, not active trading, so perhaps wires crossed. But the core issue remained untouched: the DOJ's handling of victim outreach, civil rights invasions in various cities, and refusal to pursue evident crimes in the Epstein network. Survivors sat directly behind her during testimony. They stated plainly that outreach from the department had been non-existent, despite her public invitations for information. How do you reconcile welcoming cooperation on one hand while ignoring those with direct knowledge? This points to one of the most extensive concealment operations we've witnessed. It traces back to the original non-prosecution deal under Alex Acosta, later Trump's labor secretary, where a sweeping federal indictment dissolved into minor state charges, work release privileges, and broad immunity for others in Epstein's circle. That set a precedent for unequal justice, favoring the influential, what some call the Epstein class. Democrats insist evidence should dictate outcomes. Party aside, prosecute trafficking, assault, exploitation without favoritism. Few Republicans echo that fully, except voices like Massey. For many, the default is blanket exoneration. You've reviewed portions of these records in person. Anything stand out? Previously unknown details or co-conspirator indications? Access revealed layers of withholding. Claims of 6 million total documents, with half deemed duplicative and withheld, yet victims report missing key statements. Of release materials, 200,000 pages carry partial or full blackouts, often shielding potential enablers while exposing survivors against instructions. Searching for references to Trump yielded extensive hits. One notable unredacted email chain from 2019 discussed a deposition shifted to interview format. Epstein's team appeared satisfied with characterizations of his Mar-a-Lago status. This contrasts sharply with current public claims of expulsion years earlier. Direct criminal links to Trump seem scrubbed early, likely priority for reviewing teams. But co-conspirator mentions persist, including recruiter networks and financial backers. Denials of additional parties ring false against evidence of a vast operation lacking accomplices or recipients, logically absurd. Historical parallels to Watergate come up. How does this compare? Watergate seems minor by contrast. We're witnessing broad assaults on constitutional norms, separations of power, and liberties unseen since profound national fractures. Nixon's team faced consequences. Today's DOJ operates under different constraints, including recent immunity rulings granting wide latitude. Attorney General accountability occurred then, imprisonment for complicity. Pardons could shield here, but public pressure builds as polls shift and constitutional defense intensifies. You conducted an unannounced ICE facility check in Baltimore. What did you observe? Armed with a court victory affirming congressional oversight rights, entry succeeded. Conditions were appalling. Overcrowded holding areas with minimal sanitation, no showers, foil blankets on floors, dozens packed in spaces meant for far fewer. Funding surpluses exist elsewhere, yet basic human treatment lags. DHS funding deadlines loom. What stakes if unresolved? Shutdown threats could disrupt travel via TSA while core operations continue, framing blame politically. Demands include transparency measures, visible identification, body cameras to curb unchecked authority. Qualified immunity must end for federal agents, enabling real liability for misconduct. Thanks, Congressman. Next, Representative Robert Garcia from the Oversight Committee. You've examined less redacted versions. Key discoveries? Significant recruiter details surfaced, names of individuals, including some formerly victimized who later participated. Networks spanned locations like Mar-a-Lago, pageants, international sourcing. This expands our understanding and leads for follow-up. Les Wexner ties also clarified massive early funding, questionable closeness. Upcoming deposition will probe those payments directly. Were recruiters aware participants in trafficking? Evidence suggests yes in multiple cases. Coercion, grooming evident. How then do DOJ leaders claim no broader conspiracy? Contradicts files outright. Beyond recruiters, other prominent figures appear warranting scrutiny. Half the materials remain unreleased, with heavy redactions even in what's public. Damning elements likely sit in withheld portions. Any DOJ pledge for more? None. They've declared completion. Unacceptable. Victims deserve full truth now, not delays. If majority shifts post-election, subpoenas and depositions will advance. Can future majorities force compliance from a resistant DOJ? Subpoenas crafted strategically, enforced via courts if needed. Past stonewalling under current leadership won't hold under changed control. Personal liability for suppression? Possible. Contempt, prosecution for obstruction. Officials are on notice. Good faith civil servants may speak when secure. Fired lead prosecutor Maureen Comey, potential witness. Subpoenas likely, privilege claims contestable, her knowledge invaluable. Thanks for your efforts. Finally, former pardon attorney Liz Oyer, Ghislaine Maxwell's team floated testimony clearing Trump in exchange for clemency. Any limits on pardon authority? Constitutional power is broad, discretion rests solely with the president. Reaction to this public overture? Unprecedented and disturbing. Trading clemency for exoneration in child exploitation cases defies norms. Presidents rarely consider relief for such offenses. Would clemency yield unique investigative value? Documents already provide much. Live corroboration helps, but Maxwell's credibility is shattered. Convicted conspirator, motivated by self-interest, unreliable. Releasing Epstein's key partner to chase lesser figures seems backward. Exactly. No sound basis exists. Recent prison transfer and lawyer connections raise red flags of influence. Bondi refused to foreclose clemency during testimony. She sidestepped to avoid preempting presidential whim. Trump has bypassed DOJ input before. DOJ officials deny other perpetrators despite files indicating otherwise. Premature closure without probe ignores multi-administration history but prioritizes avoidance over justice. Potential implications for administration figures make digging unappealing. Critics note, prior administrations held files too. Biden-era focus prosecuted Maxwell successfully. Current leadership owns transparency promises made on trail. Deflecting backward evades responsibility. Hello and welcome back, my incredible AP Insight family. Abby Phillip here.